call hello Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Kakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone root well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your life may be. This is gonna be pretty quick because it's an in transit, but as I was driving, sometimes I kind of go through like history of TikTok or do the history tab on TikTok or listen to some YouTube videos. Obviously listen to, the brothers doing their videos as well. But I watched this, and then I watched a couple of more videos, and I'm gonna let this play. I'll do my best to let it play. But you'll see, the first question I had was, how many towns, how many residences, how many small rural agricultural areas that were uninhabitable, but by Jake, all right, that was able to implement practices that they learned because Jake did all the work. That is why there are so many inventions. It's to the point to where when you see an invention, you have to ask, who's the actual inventor? Not the person credited, but who's the real inventor of something. Even a song. I remember hearing, I think I was driving by down the highway, and there was this huge F-250 that said Black Betty, and it made me think, obviously, of the song. Oh, Black Betty, Mama Lamb. But when you listen to the lyrics, and it's like about oppression, and I was like, why would these Edomites be saying about this? Cold Time, if you look up the original singer, it was recorded in a Texas prison in the 20s. I can't remember their names, but there was always your given government name, and then you had your nickname in the middle. So it would be, for example, it would be John Railroad or John Shovelhand or something like that. John Shovelhand Smith. So Ironhead, I think it's Charles Ironhead, or no, maybe it is John Ironhead. Just look up the song, just look up Black Betty, Texas prison songwriter, and it was, it was for them to, keep a cadence for working, right? And that was the same thing when they were working the railroads, right? Jake oozes salt. And I'm rambling a lot, so let me just go ahead and I gave those examples, but this TikTok is kind of long, and then there's another one that I want to show. But as you can see, I've said this before. I said it, I think, and I was the first person to say it that I know of, is that when you wake up to this truth, at first you hear something, and you're like, damn, he's a motherfucker, he's the devil. You just kind of regurgitate that he's the devil at some point, but to know them is to hate them. The more you learn about history, the more you deep dive into things, the more you go down that rabbit hole, because first it's a sea theory rabbit hole, and then there's a lot of credence to these sea theories, and then you're like, this motherfucker really is the flesh incarnate in the flesh. This is Satan. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So when the scriptures tell you the son of perdition will be revealed, or the man of sin will be revealed, you see it. It is plain as day. And there's an anger, there's an indignation. The scriptures called a righteous indignation that rises up in you, because it's like, look if I would have gone my whole life without knowing this had it not been for the truth. And then your mind goes and you think, well, what else? What else? So when the Lord says that Judah will be, Judah and Ephraim will be, or Israel will be like the battle axe, right? Or the bow and the arrow, it makes more sense. That indignation, that anger of the Lord that he's going to put, man. So let's go ahead and let's listen to these. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want this to be too long. I'm going to try to quote scriptures, but I'm just let this play since it's in transit.
Miami-Dade County committed mass genocide in my community, and here's why. In 2014, I moved to a community called Sugar Hill, located on Southwest 216th Street in US 1. This place is infamous for its use of crack-a-doodle-doo and Bali Santana, so much so that it coined the name Sugar Hill. Almost 90% of my neighbors were addicted to some kind of narcotic. Only about 3 to 5 families at any given time, including my family, had children. Everyone else ingested or distributed narcotics. For over 40 years, 40, people went to Sugar Hill to indulge in its party-like culture. While overdoses always exist in these type of communities, I'm gonna tell you why this is so significant to the story. Between the years 2023 and 2024, Miami-Dade County went through an entire revamp of what it looks like. Gentrification has changed Miami as we know it, and is almost completely unrecognizable to the citizens that grew up there, including myself. In the midst of that, my entire block is now unalived. Everyone I knew that lived on Sugar Hill is now deceased in a 1.5 year span. You're probably thinking, why should we care about crackheads? Why should we care about a bunch of people that threw their lives away due to narcotics? Because regardless of how anyone lives their lives, nobody should be hunted like fucking animals and unalived in mass groups without anyone talking about it. Between the drug raids, the mysterious death of dealers, and over 200 people passing away due to overdoses, I think this should raise some concern. You're telling me for over 40 years, these people have stayed in the same place, using the same substances, and the entire block is in a fucking graveyard right now, after 1.5 years. Now, there could be a hole in the story, right? Some of y'all are probably thinking, oh, well, because fentanyl's everywhere, it's in everything, everybody's selling fentanyl, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it probably was Fetty. It probably was the Fent. But the crazy thing about...
And let's not ignore how it get there, not how it all got here in the first place. And also, you know, you're responsible for the decisions that you make. However, let's not ignore the operations that put this stuff there. We cannot ignore that.
This mass unaliving was the amount of high-rises that got put up right after the entire community croaked. You go to 216 right now, there's at least 5 new high-rises in the places that these people lived. 5 new high-rises over graveyards of fucking people. And the people in that community can't even afford. Get this, they can't even afford to live in the fucking high-rises. If you go to the Canal Street today, you will see no one. It's a ghost town. You might see 2 or 3 people left. I need you to understand that that Canal Street that I'm speaking about used to look like a fucking festival every day. I'm talking about over 100 people in the streets, around the traps, tea, music playing, motherfuckers outside, dogs running around, the whole 9. You go over there now, this shit look like a ghost town. Instead of allocating funds to self-help or drug prevention or education on narcotics, they decided to poison an entire community. That was the goal, and it was successful. And they did it to people that were less deserving, that nobody was going to check up on, nobody was going to come to their funerals, nobody.
And don't forget how I mentioned the dehumanization, right? They have to make it seem like you are less than human. So whatever happens to you, you know, people will easily accept it. All right, because things don't change until they start affecting other E's. But now, as you can see, E is a nigga too. And now that's why they rising up, and now they talking about it's us against them. No, it's not. Because if everything returned to so-called normal, then it would return to normal. And you get what I'm saying. Oh shit.
He was going to come check for them in the hospitals, see about their well-being. They weren't going to look into the deaths at all. If you think for 1 second that it was their habits that got them there and not the government literally poisoning an entire community, I don't know what to tell you. And to make matters even better, right? that entire block was African Americans. How many times has this happened throughout Miami-Dade County? If you are from a Miami-Dade County community and you've noticed something like this, please comment below, because I think
Black American freedmen history we should all know. Now, Sugar Hill was a black upscale community and business district in Jacksonville, Florida. Its black hospital, hotels, mansions, and more now all sit under I-95. Here's the backstory. Now, Sugar Hill was the answer to the problems of the black Americans during Jim Crow Florida, and it was filled with black prosperity from the late 1800s to the 1960s. The area was largely a byproduct of a black-owned street line system connecting northwest Jacksonville with downtown, but from this spawned an amazing self-sufficient black community. Now, Sugar Hill streets were lined with mansions and elegant homes that showed the power of the black dollar, honey. Now, the upscale area was home to black families, doctors, lawyers, teachers, ministers, Pullman porters, and more. Many also had ownership or also owned hotels, restaurants, shoe stores, banks, and more. In addition, black men here pooled their resources and money and created the Afro-American Life Insurance Company, which provided life and burial insurance and mortgages to our own. This too would be a success, as it created not only millionaires, but one of Florida's first black millionaires. The area also had Jacksonville's first black hospital, Brewster Hospital, and the School of Nurse Training. There was also Wilder Park, a 30-acre park that included a public library for us, track and baseball field, and a community center. This would all go down the drain during the 1950s and 60s, when Sugar Hill was chosen for construction of I-95, the expansion of a hospital, and the end of segregation. Sugar Hill,
Right.
everyone.
So you see,
Black American freedmen history.
I think this is a bigger.
Yeah, I'm ready.
When I went to Miami, I was like, yo.
it unfortunately refreshed. There was another video that I wanted to go into, where there was an incinerator built in a predominantly so-called black neighborhood as well, and most of the residents there had died of pancreatic cancer, or breathing problems, lung complications, developed asthma, and it was said that they would wake up in the middle of the night with their eyes burning and full of tears, and their chest would be on fire. And I know exactly what that's like. I think my second time in Iraq, that happened to me a couple of times, and lo and behold, I got fucking asthma. And this brings the question again: how many more times you can? Oh, St. Louis, the U.S. Army did an experiment in St. Louis. You can look that up as well. This man truly is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And that is why Ecclesiasticus tells you, 12:10, never to trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. You think you, and roughly paraphrase at this part, like you think you've wiped away that rust? You can't get rid of that oxidation so swiftly. All right, it is there to stay once it is there. Once you allow it to oxidize, it is there. Do you understand? So you keep it from happening. You keep it away from you, or keep it off your belonging, whatever that may be, whatever that means to you. So just wait. So certain Jake don't understand how wicked this devil is, but well, really they are starting to see it, and that was by way of the prophets. And now you have a lot of 2/3 Jakes on the podcast. They're bringing out a lot of things. And the sentiment is changing. The vibration is changing. All right. And even 2/3 of our people are not seeking, or most of them at least, are not seeking validation from these devils. They, they no longer stay upon him that smote them. Because you can't. You will never get justice. There never. If Yahushua was not to return, if we were supposed to die here, and there's another captivity, again. There would be no justice. He holds himself not guilty. Furthermore, the scriptures also tell you that, have the Lord speeding up the days, no flesh would be saved. And you see, he is a hammer, and a hammer does only one thing. Their hammer is meant for one thing, to hammer. It is a singular tool to do a singular job. And this devil does nothing but steal, kill, destroy. They screw up everything that they touch. Everything that is wrong in this earth. It is like if the earth is a living organism. They are a cancer. A literal cancer. Ocean water, effed up. Soil, effed up. Air you breathe, effed up. Food you eat, if you can even call it that anymore, effed up. Taking animals from one type of ecosystem where they are supposed to be, where they're supposed to thrive, and then just putting them somewhere else and seeing, let's see how well they do. They don't fucking belong there. Trees can't rest. Animals can't rest. People can't rest. Nothing. So at some point, everybody should be saying, how long, oh Lord? How long? Every which way you turn, something is polluted. Even the things that you hear, the music you listen to is polluted and perverted. The minds of our women and our children, polluted and perverted. The minds of our males, because they're not men, polluted and perverted. All because they drank of the wine of Babylon, right? They're the wine of this devil. Taking up the philosophies. Looking at him as if he is the end all and the be all of what is correct, what is upright, what is good. But that veil called Allah Yahweh Bashar, it has lifted. And it is high time that it has been. So let me shut up. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to get that, bring these out. You should look into this on your own. All right, look into not only this, but go into Grok if they haven't provided another update or forced another, not provided, if they haven't forced another update to where it completely blocks out anything, any type of truth. But look in St. Louis is another one. But all the different the cities and towns that were just destroyed. Even in Houston, Texas, there are areas in Houston. Same thing happened. Dallas, Fort Worth, all over the place. There isn't a city that isn't stained with the blood of Jacob. Nowhere. But that's all right. Because just as the blood of Abel cried out when Cain slew him, the blood of Jake, northern and southern kingdom, it is cried out. And that cup of iniquity is about to overflow, and when it does, that's when the true judgment's really gonna pour out. That is why we gonna see something. We gonna see it here pretty soon, and I just pray that we are covered in the midst of whatever is coming. That being said,